Hello everybody, Michael here for Tactica Imperialis with another series of Codex analysis. Today we're going to take a look at an Imperial Codex, one that I haven't actually faced in its current iteration, but one that was always fun back when. And that is Grey Knights. Now, from what I can tell, the new Grey Knights Codex is pretty good from what I've seen on the internet and everything else. Of course, that could just be people complaining because it's the internet and that's what people do. But it does look pretty good. A full army of Psychers in 7th edition is pretty strong. See Eldar. Armies of monstrous creatures are pretty strong. See Eldar. Guys with very tanky units, like Terminators, all over the place, are pretty handy at the moment. So I have to say, it's pretty good. I think Grey Knights will be pretty strong. I'll obviously give a fuller assessment at the end of the series. But first impressions, I do think they will be pretty good, although I can't guarantee it, which I have to see through this analysis. So we're going to do in this first episode all the fiddly bits, basically all the bits that aren't units. So special rules, warlord traits, detachment, and we're going to look again at Santic demonology because it's listed in here. So I'm not sure if there is any variation from the classic Santic demonology, though I doubt it. So we're going to do warlord traits, relics, and all those sorts of things. If you're looking for pure actual how good is every unit, that will be covered in future episodes. In fact, the next episode we're going to do the HQ section. With that said, let's get into this video. So we're going to start with army special rules. The first one is a Space Marine generic thing, combat squads. A full strength 10-man unit with a special rule can break down into two 5-man units known as combat squads, considered to be two 5-man squads of the same type. For example, a 10-man Terminator squad is split into two 5-man Terminator squads using this rule. You must decide which units are split into combat squads and which go into each combat squad immediately before rolling for Warlord. So you've got to do this basically before you put anything down on the table. A unit split to combat squads is now two separate units for all game purposes, including total number of units in the army and determining the number of units you can place in reserve. Then proceed with deployment as normal. In an exception to the normal rule, two combat squads split can embark in the same transport as long as the transport capacity allows it. Once you decide whether to split or not, it must remain like that for the entire battle, cannot split up or join back together later in the battle, nor can use a redeployment to split up a unit or join it back together. That's the full version. So basically what it means is you take a 10-man squad and you split it in half. Before deployment, you pick which models go in which, and they become two separate units from there on out. Kill points, reserves, all those sorts of things, they're now two separate units. It's interesting about the transport thing though, because sometimes you want the tactical flexibility of drop pods to just drop squads in, and then you just want them to do two separate things because one's carrying a melter, one's carrying a flamer, for example. Well, you can do that. You can stick two squads, one squad in a drop pod, combat squad it, drop them in, and then split them off. Kind of handy that. Same applies with Terminators and a Land Raider. You might have, actually Land Raiders won't carry everybody, but you know what I mean. Squads like in a Rhino, 10-man squad, decides to split. You can do it when it gets out, which is pretty handy. And combat squads is a kind of a classic thing. I suspect any Space Marine player is pretty familiar with it, but it also applies to your Terminators. Then we have the Aegis. Aegis? I'm going to start with Aegis. It's basically the armor. It's inscribed with hexagrammic wards. It basically makes Deny the Witch easier. A unit that contains at least one model with this re-rolls results of 1 when denying the witch. It's not adamantium will, it's re-rolls of 1. So it may do nothing for you. It may save you every single time. You may just get lucky. So you have a 1 in 6 chance to get a re-roll and you deny the witch rolls, which is pretty good. Can't really argue about it, and it's for free on everybody. Then we have Purity of Spirit. Grey Knight Psychers can generate psychic powers from demonology. They can only generate Santic demonology. They cannot manifest malefic powers from this discipline. In addition, unless otherwise stated, when attempting to manifest psychic powers from demonology, they only suffer perils of the warp if 2 or more 6s are rolled. Basically, this is like we know with demonology. Normally, any double is a perils, but with Grey Knights, only double 6s is perils like with most psychic powers. But you don't get access to demonology. Obviously, you're a demon fighter, so why would you want to be summoning demons? There is probably an explanation somewhere, but we're not going to use it. Basically, it just means that while you're basically forced into Santic on most of your guys, you're going to be fine at casting it. I wouldn't panic too much. Then we have the Warlord traits. There are, of course, 6 of them. And how does it work? You can roll either on the Warhammer 40,000 rule book traits table or roll on this table, unless you have something to give you 2, like a piece of war gear. I know the Orcs have one. So the first one, Demon Slayer. The Warlord has hatred demons. In addition, if he attempts to manifest banishment, which is a demonology power, he will harness warp charge points on d6 rolls on for 2+. So you cast banishment on 2s, which is pretty good. Banishment, which we're going to look at again later, but just to give you a quick look, it's the Primaris power. It's a Warp Charge 1 that gives -1 to invuln saves on demons, which is not the best power, but if you just need, you've got one spare dice, oh, 2 up to cast. Easy peasy. It's not a bad Warlord trait. Would I re-roll it? Maybe. It depends. If I'm a Librarian, probably I'll re-roll it. If I'm a Grandmaster, having Hatred might actually be kind of useful. Unless preferred enemies, demons is still a thing. We'll have to see. Hammer of Righteousness. This gives the Warlord's unit Hammer of Wrath. This is probably going to suck. I don't think Hammer of Wrath is that powerful of a rule, so while it might be useful for just smashing into a horde of guardsmen, against most things won't make a difference. Like the odd strength 4 hit here and there, particularly on Terminator, you're not going to get that many. I wouldn't keep this one. I'd re-roll it most times if you have the option to. 3. Unyielding Anvil. The Warlord and all friendly units from Grey Knights within 12 inches have Stubborn. This means no negative modifiers to leadership, which is kind of handy actually. You're going to be in combat a lot, so if you end up getting swamped, you're going to lose combat a few times, so having Stubborn is kind of handy, and it means that Dark Eldar shenanigans don't work, Harlequin shenanigans don't work. It's just handy. I have to say, it's not the best one, and you probably will want to re-roll it depending on your opponent and on what sort of style you're going for. If you're going for an army that's going to get battered around in melee a lot, you may want to keep this one. If you probably don't expect to be losing that many melees, you could probably keep it. Or get rid of it, sorry. 4. First to the fray. If placed in Deep Strike, the Warlord and his unit automatically arrive on turn 1 and reroll the scatter dice when deep striking. This only really applies to Terminator Lords. Though the only dudes I can think of in power up. Sorry, shiver. The only thing I can think of in power off the top of my head is the Brotherhood Champion. Unless like things like Grandmasters start in power armor. They might, we'll have to see in future episodes. But if you are planning to deep strike your Warlord, keep it. If you're not, don't, because otherwise you may just, while it means your Warlord isn't off the board, it means he's in a possible nightmare scenario, particularly if you do still scatter. When it says reroll the scatter dice, it generally means reroll everything, but I could be wrong. Correct me on that in the comments if I am. 5. Perfect timing. Counterattack. You have a high leadership. Actually, I don't even think you need the leadership test anymore, so counterattack is kind of good. It allows you to play a slightly different style. If you're planning on camping, then you can do that. But bear in mind, most armies can outshoot you. Or can they? Some armies can outshoot you. Things like Tau can outshoot you. But anything that has to get close, having counterattack is really handy because Space Wolves will attest to being able to get a +1 attack when you're charged. It's kind of nice, particularly against hordes like Orcs and Tyranids. And then 6, Lawmaster. The Warlord has 1 more power than is normal for his mastery level, which must be generated from Santic demonology. So if you are running Santic anyway, you get +1 power. If you are not running Santic, you get an extra power, but because you are using a Santic power on top of your normal power, you won't get the Primaris for that discipline unless you switch. So it is something to bear in mind. If you're running a Santic Lord anyway, this is a great one. It's just an extra power. If you're not, you may want to consider re-rolling it because while you get a Demonology Santic power, which might be really useful to you, you lose the Primaris power of your native discipline. So if you're splitting powers up across multiple disciplines, keep it. If you're running Santic Pure, keep it. If you're running something else pure, maybe consider it re-rolling if you can. Then we have the Relics. I'll go over the points when we're done because they're at the other end of the book. They put the rules at the back and the points costs in the Wargear list, which is at the start of the bestiary for no reason. GW codices, ladies and gentlemen. So, the first one is the Bone Shard of Solor, who was a brother captain who killed, and the relic was used to kill a bloodthirster or something. So it gives the bearer a 3+ invulnerable save whilst within 12 inches of at least 1 demon. This is a real gamble as far as picking it up because it's a storm shield for, I'm actually going to check its points cost because I'm curious. And compare it to a storm shield because that actually matters now. Where is it? There we go. So relic, it is 10 points, whereas actually I don't know if you can get a storm shield, but it's 10 points for a 3-up invuln when you are near a demon, which is kind of nice. It's really nice, 10 points for a 3-up invuln, but you don't always get it. So it's something to consider, but it does have some other benefits, and we're going to have a look at those right now. What else does it do? Where are they? Here we go. Sorry. This is increased to a 2+, whilst the bearer is within 12 inches of at least one demon of Khorne. So if you are fighting Khorne Demonkin, you have a 2-up invul, basically, which is sick. In addition, you have hatred of demons of Khorne. If you're fighting a guy with, if your meta includes lots of Khorne Demonkin or lots of demons generally, this is a great relic to have for 10 points. It just makes you much, much harder to kill. But it's a real gamble, but it is only 10 points. So if you do have 10 points knocking around, you could probably put it on because not much war gear, or not, sorry, not many guys are actually less than 10 points. Next up, the Cuirass. I have no idea how to pronounce that, of Sacrifice. It's a suit of armor. It's Terminator armor. It gives a 2-up save, 5-up invul. It gives you bulky, like a Terminator's armor does. Deep strike, like normal. It will not die, so regeneration. Feel no pain, and relentless, which I think you have anyway. And you can't sweeping advance like a Terminator. So in terms of comparing this to a suit of Terminator armor normally, so let's look at a Brother Captain, who is a HQ choice. His Terminator armor suit is included in his points cost because he has it basic. But if he wants to buff it, he pays 15 points in order to get Feel No Pain and it will not die, basically. So is it that good? 15 points of Feel No Pain and it will not die on one dude? Hard to say. I mean, it's all right, don't get me wrong, but I don't know. I don't know if I'd pay 15 points for Feel No Pain. I mean, yes, it's good, but if you catch a las cannon to the face, you're still dead. So, I don't know. Up to you. If you expect to be facing a lot of low strength weapons, absolutely, it's great. If you're expecting lots of things like las cannons and plasma guns coming up, plasma guns is a really good defense against plasma guns, actually. But against las cannons and things, just leave it at home. It's kind of useless. Then we have the Domina Liber Demonica. Okay. Yeah, it is basically the same as the Warlord trait. You get one more psychic power than normal, but it must be a Santic power. But on top of that, the bearer and any friendly units within the Grey Knights faction within 6 inches reroll dice of 1 when taking psychic tests when attempting to manifest demonology powers. So it's a buff on the Warlord trait, which actually will stack with the Warlord trait, by the way. So you will know 2 extra powers. So a level 3 guy will know 5 powers, which is stupid if that goes off. But the main reason you're taking this is to give guys who are near him rerolls of 1 when taking demonology powers. That is why this is best on someone who's going to be in the heart of the battle line. Anyone who knows aura powers, if there are any aura powers actually in Santic demonology, I actually have no idea if there are. No, I don't think so. I don't see any like protective auras. But if you're running something like, well, if you are running aura powers or anything of use like that, having someone who's in the middle of your battle line makes the Domina Liber Demonica really useful. And to be fair, even if it's just giving it to 1 or 2 units, that's still a massive buff. Next up, we have the Fury of Deimos, which is one of the moons of Titan. Oh, it's one of the moons of Saturn, like Titan is, and it's kind of near. It's a forged world by the looks of it. It's a super storm bolter in the end of the day. 36 inch range, strength 4 AP 5, assault 3, mastercraft precision shot. So, in comparison to the storm bolter that you get on your dudes for free, you pay for 1 extra shot, precision shot, and mastercrafted and 12 inch range, you pay 10 points. That is pretty good. I've got to say, that is pretty good value. 10 points to get more range, more shots, and more accuracy because of mastercrafted, and the chance to snipe somebody. Pretty good. I like that. And by the way, the Domina Liber Demonica, that is 25 points. And yeah, pretty good. I quite like that. That's actually really, really useful. So we'll stick with that. Good call on that weapon. Right. What is the last one? The Nemesis. Oh, there's 2 more, sorry. The Nemesis Banner. Friendly units with the Grey Knight's back within 12 inches of the bearer have Fearless, which is, of course, awesome because demons cause fear. In addition, all models with Grey Knight's faction in the same unit as the bearer have +1 attack while he's alive. I think the Nemesis Banner only goes to Paladins, so Maybe that's why it just gives +1 attack to that unit. Furthermore, all models with the demon special rule treat all terrain, even open ground within 12 inches of the bearer, as dangerous. Pretty good. I quite like that power. I think it's one of the powers it used to be called Sanctuary that did that as well. So the Nemesis banner is pretty good. Give a bunch of dudes fearless, give your unit +1 attack, and give demons a problem. Basically how all Grey Knights work. And then finally we have the Soul Glaive. This is a melee weapon that will replace your force weapon, but it's still a force weapon. So it is range melee, +1 strength, AB3, so it's a better power sword with force, as all Grey Knight weapons do, two-handed, Demon Bane, and Soul Imprint. So Demon Bane, if force is successfully manifested and targets a unit one or more weapons with this special rule, in addition to the usual effects, it rerolls to wound and armor penetration against models with demon while the blessing is in effect. This means that you get reroll to armor pens against demon engines, which is kind of handy, or anything with demonic possession, I think. And you get rerolls to wound against all demons. Yes, there are demons that aren't just chaos demons. There is the Avatar. Don't forget about him. Which is pretty good. But you have to cast force first, so you have to keep a dice back to cast it. And Soul Imprint, a character wielding the Soul Glaive rerolls failed psychic test when actually trying to cast force, which is kind of handy. Furthermore, if the power is successfully manifested and targets the character wielding this weapon or his unit, in addition to the usual effects, it rerolls all failed to hit, wound, and armor penetration rolls while the blessing is in effect. Holy balls. Demon Bane is a general rule. I think it applies to more stuff. I think it actually applies to all Nemesis weapons. I'd have to check. But Soul Imprint basically turns you into a complete monster. You have instant death, rerolling to hit, rerolling to wound, AP3, probably wounding on 3s. Yeah, you're pretty good. So I have to say, I like that one a lot. It's really strong, and it will do a lot of damage as long as you remember, and this is important, you remember to cast force. Just got to remember to do that, and that will set you back 20 points. Ooh, 20 points, not bad. For those who wonder about the banner, it's actually not listed here. It's not listed in the Relics General War Gear list, which makes me think it is just for Paladins. So we'll get to that in the Paladin entry, and we'll probably go over it again. So yeah, they're the Relics. They're actually really good value, mostly. The Liver Demonic book is 25 points, which is expensive-ish, I guess, but it's pretty useful if you can get it to go off. Right, let's talk Detachment. This was before the days of Decurion, so we just have a simple detachment, which is the Nemesis Strike Force. And it is pretty similar to normal, but not quite. So your compulsory options, 1 HQ, 1 troop instead of 2, and your optional 1 HQ, 3 troops, meaning you can only have a maximum of 4, but you get 4 elites, 2 fast attack, 2 heavy support, 1 Lord of War, 1 fortification. So you sacrifice 2 troop slots, 1 fast attack slot, and 1 heavy support slot to gain 1 elite slot. There must be some pretty good elites in this codex, because with things like Dread Knights in the heavy support slot, I get the feeling the heavy support slot is pretty crowded with good stuff. So obviously the elite section is really, really important. I believe Terminators are still troops. If they are, then you can still obviously do this really easily. If not, Strike Squad is not bad value. But of course, that's not the important bit. We want the command benefits. So if the detachment is your primary detachment, you can re-roll the Warlord trait table in this book, which we talked about earlier. And then Rites of Teleportation. Instead of making reserve rolls from the start of turn 2, you can make reserve rolls for any unit in this detachment placed in Deep Strike Reserve from the start of turn 1. They'll arrive on 3+, and all units from this detachment can both run and shoot in any order in the same turn that they arrive, meaning that you can easily set up one of the most efficient alpha strikes I have ever seen. So you can drop dudes in, and if you got lucky with the Warlord trait, you might actually be able to reroll the Scatter, and you will have a reroll on your Warlord trait, so that might work for you. Drop in, drop the incinerator bombs, like heavy incinerators and things like that, or Psy Cannons, and then run to spread out from all those nasty pie plates that are going to be coming at you, and to spread yourself out so that you're in a better position to charge. Or you can run first to get your flamers into range, which is scary as hell. So yeah, that's pretty good. That's really good. I like that a lot. That's a really strong detachment. I don't know if it's worth the sacrifice of a heavy support slot and some troop. I don't think the troop slot matters all that much, but sacrificing a heavy support slot could be quite nasty. We'll have to see in future episodes of the analysis. Now, what we're going to do quickly now is go over Santic demonology. You probably already know it because it's in the rulebook, but in case it's changed, let's go over it quickly. So Primaris power, banishment, warp charge 1, talked about it earlier, 24-inch range, targets a demon, has to be a demon, and all models in the unit take -1 to their invuln save, and this is cumulative with any other modifiers to demon invuln save. I believe there's something in the Demon's Codex that messes with them, but cannot make it worse than a 6+. You can't get rid of their invuln entirely. Then we have Gate of Infinity, Warp Charge 1, this is power number 1, blessing that targets the Psyker unless the target is zooming or swooping, i.e. is in a flyer, remove the target and his unit from the board, and then immediately rise anywhere using Deep Strike, which is pretty good. Then we have Hammer Hand, power number 2, Warp Charge 1, gives the Psyker and his unit +2 strength. Used to be +1, but now it's +2. That's pretty powerful, means that you actually stand a chance of cracking those demonic monstrous creatures, or any monstrous creature in general, and you're not just relying on your demon hammers to kill vehicles. Then we have Sanctuary, Warp Charge 1, power number 3. It's also a blessing that targets the Psyker. It gives him and his unit +1 invuln. Models that do not have one get a 6+ invuln instead, things like strike squads. In addition, all demons, friend or foe, treat all terrain, including open ground, within 12 inches as dangerous, like I thought it did in the last edition. This is really good because if you've got a dude with a Storm Shield, or let's say the Soul Shard, or the Bone thing, I've already forgotten its name, I'm sorry, the Bone Shard of Solor, which gives you 3 of invuln when you need demons, gives you a 2+ all the time when you're fighting against demons, and it is a 1+ against demons of Khorne, but that makes absolutely no difference because a 1 still always fails. Then we have Purge Soul, Warp Charge 1, Focus Switch, Fire Range 24. Both the Psyker and the target model roll a d6 and add their leadership. If the target wins, nothing happens. If the Psyker's total is greater than or equal to the target's total, the model suffers an automatic wound with no armor or cover saves allowed. This is awesome. Purge Soul has no effect on vehicles. Remember, if you get on Warp Charge 2, you pick the target. If it's Warp Charge 1, it hits the front guy. So you may want to throw an extra dice at this just to make sure you get it off. Then you have Cleansing Flame, which is Warp Charge 2. It's a Nova power with 9-inch range. Strength 5, AP 4, Assault 2d6, Ignores Cover, and Soul Blaze. I always forget about Soul Blaze, but it's basically a Heavy Flamer Nova because it ignores cover, so that's really good. You've got to drop in to do it. So if you're running the Nemesis Strike Force Detachment, drop in, drop Cleansing Flame, watch your opponent cry. Yeah, it's viable. But bear in mind, you do have to land in a certain space as well, so it might not always go off for you. And then number 6, Vortex of Doom. Oh, this. It's a Warp Charge 3 power, so getting it off is hard, but it's a Witchfire. 12-inch range, Strength D, AP 1, Assault 1 Blast, Vortex, which means it stays on the board. I'm not exactly sure of how the Vortex rules work, but I'm sure if you've ever faced Vortex of Doom, you know exactly what it's all about. However, if you fail your psychic test, you perils immediately. So it's an all-or-nothing power. So if you go for it with 6 dice, you have a 50-50% chance to be rolling on the perils table, even if you don't roll a double 6, which is kind of bad. So with this one, you really have to go for it, and I would recommend having the Liber Demonica, the Domina Liber Demonica, the Relic book around so you can re-roll the dice, so as you absolutely get it off. And don't do it with anybody, or you can do it with anybody now. It's not like mastery level matters anymore in manifesting powers, but keep dice back to do Vortex. You can throw away a couple of faint dice, but make sure Vortex you throw a lot of dice at. And that is the end of today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found it useful and interesting. Leave a like if you did, and comment down below. I have asked a couple of things in the comments to be clarified, so if you could do that, that would be awesome. Also, let me know what you think of the Grey Knights Codex. I've obviously never faced it, in this iteration anyway, and I've yet to go through it in total, so I'm interested to get your opinions before we leap into the analysis at large. Next episode will be the HQ section, which will obviously be quite long because, well, you've got to go over all the war gear while we're at it, so that might take a while. As it is, we're going to wrap up this video here. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Michael for Tactica Imperialis, and until the next time, I'll see you all again.